I still remember that day like it's burned into the back of my eyelids, the day everything I thought I knew about my own house, my own marriage, went up in smoke. It was a Thursday afternoon in late spring sun pouring through the windows like honey, and I'd come home early from a deal downtown. I thought I was sneaking back in unnoticed, just another millionaire slipping into his marble sanctuary. But when I opened the bathroom door upstairs, what I saw froze me in place. There was my wife. Let's call her Melissa, towering over a 12-year-old girl on her knees. The kid's name was Naomi, daughter of our longtime housekeeper, a kid I'd seen drawing in the kitchen, polite, shy brown braids tied with little blue beads. Melissa had her scrubbing the floor with her bare hands. The floor wasn't even dirty. And Melissa's voice, cold sharp, a whisper, turned knife. People like you need to learn early where your place is. Naomi's small hands shook as she rubbed at an invisible stain. Tears ran down her face and disappeared into the soap suds. I felt my chest tighten like I was back in the projects 15 years old, hearing grown-ups talk down to my grandmother. That moment cracked something inside me. Melissa spun around when she heard me. Her fake smile snapped on like a light switch. "Oh, hey, honey. I didn't hear you come in," she said, smoothing her designer dress. "Just teaching Naomi some responsibility." I crouched next to Naomi, ignoring Melissa completely. "How you holding up, sweetheart?" I asked quietly. Naomi's eyes darted to Melissa, calculating, scared to tell the truth, and she whispered, "I'm fine, sir." But I could read her like a balance sheet. She wasn't fine. She was terrified. I stood, my voice low, almost calm. "Naomi, go to the kitchen. Grab yourself a snack. Your mom will be back soon." When she slipped out, I turned to Melissa, my wife of 15 years, the woman who'd built her whole social brand on charity galas and children's rights. "What the hell did I just walk in on?" She waved it off, leaning against the counter like it was nothing. "Oh, come on, Daniel. You know how these kids are, no boundaries, no work ethic. Someone's got to teach them." I didn't argue. I just looked at her. And in my head, my grandmother Rosa's voice came back clear as day. She'd been a maid her whole life for families like ours. "Money can change your address, boy," she used to say, "but it can't change your heart. Never forget where you came from." That night, while Melissa slept, I sat in my office scrolling through memories. All the little signs I'd ignored, the way Naomi stiffened when Melissa entered a room, the hush in the kitchen when I walked in, the subtle comments Melissa made about those people. My grandmother's stories hit me like a hammer. I realized I'd been sleeping next to a stranger. The next morning, I worked from home, left the office door cracked just enough to hear the rhythm of the house. I installed cameras in the hall, the kitchen, the study, tiny lenses hidden in plain sight. I wasn't even sure what I hoped to find. But by 10 a.m., I had my answer. Melissa's cruelty wasn't a one-off. It was a system. She gave Naomi impossible chores, reorganized books alphabetically, then by color, then by height. Clean, spotless windows. Sweep leaves on a windy day. Fold linen napkins over and over while she sneered. "At your age, I knew how to work properly." And Naomi just kept her head down, silent, scared. Every cruel word burned through my headphones. Later, I found letters, old emails between Melissa and her friends, bragging about keeping the help's kids in their place. Screenshots from some secret Facebook group about traditional values, trading tips on how to discipline employees' children. Reading her words made me sick. This wasn't stress or a bad day. This was who she really was. I called an old friend, a private investigator named Marcus Reed. Marcus was one of the sharpest black investigators in the state, a guy who'd built his rep breaking open cases nobody else would touch. I told him everything. He didn't even sound surprised. "Daniel," he said, "I've been watching your wife's circle for months. You'd be shocked how many of them share her hobby." We started building a case. Videos, letters, testimonies from past housekeepers. Turns out at least 6 families before Grace and Naomi had left under mysterious circumstances. Every one of them had a daughter between 8 and 15. Everyone had stories of sudden anxiety, nightmares, panic attacks. Melissa had been doing this for years. I didn't sleep much that week. But the plan that took shape in my mind felt sharper, cleaner than anything I'd done in business. Melissa had a charity gala coming up, the biggest night of her year, cameras everywhere. 300 of the city's top people lined up to praise her generosity. If she wanted an audience, she was going to get one. The night of the gala, the Grand River Hotel glowed like a jewel box. Crystal chandeliers, champagne-flowing politicians, and CEOs glad-handing under the soft jazz. Melissa floated through the room in a $15,000 gown, all smiles and air kisses, talking about empowering underprivileged youth. Meanwhile, Marcus moved through the crowd with a press badge, slipping tablets into guests' hands. When Melissa took the stage to deliver her keynote, I stood at the head table, heart steady. She spoke about dignity, about respect for children, about giving back. And then I walked up to the microphone. "Excuse me," I said. "Before my wife continues, I'd like to share something with you all." The room went dead silent. Melissa blinked, confused, still smiling. Marcus rolled a laptop onto the stage. The first video played on the giant screen, Melissa towering over Naomi in our kitchen, saying, "People like you need to learn from an early age where you belong." A wave of gasps. Phones whipped out, flashes popping. "This is the woman you've been applauding," I said evenly. "The woman who talks about charity while she humiliates a 12-year-old in our home." The next clip showed her knocking over a vase and making Naomi clean up the shards with bare hands. The third, her laughing on the phone, bragging about making the kid cry. Melissa reached for the microphone. "Daniel, stop this. You're taking everything out of context." Context. Marcus stepped up holding a folder. "Then maybe these will help." Screenshots of Melissa's posts filled the screen. Her own words about training employees' children. Testimonies from 6 former staff families. A hush fell so thick you could hear the champagne fizzing in glasses. Melissa tried to leave the stage, but I blocked her path, my voice low cold. "We're not done yet, dear. These people deserve to know who they're funding tonight." And then I dropped the hammer. "This morning I filed for divorce. The prenup leaves you 50% of what you think you have, but not the house, not the company, not the power. And as of this afternoon, the state attorney general has opened a formal investigation into your treatment of a minor." Melissa's legs buckled. Cameras clicked like machine guns. Her perfect world shattered right there under the chandeliers. I turned to the crowd. "Naomi Williams," I called softly. Grace led her daughter onto the stage, this time in a simple but elegant dress, chin held high. "Naomi starts at St. Catherine's Academy on Monday with a full scholarship from my foundation. And Grace," I gestured to her mother, "is now our company's new operations manager with full benefits." The applause started small, then built, then roared. Not for me, but for Grace and Naomi. For the truth. For dignity finally honored. 3 months later, everything looked different. Naomi was thriving at her new school student council anti-bullying campaign's, grades through the roof. Grace was running a team of 15 like she'd been born for it. Marcus had helped federal investigators shut down that secret online group, and 3 of its loudest voices were facing charges. Melissa. She was living in a small condo across town. Her social circle gone charity boards, rescinding invitations. The salon she loved canceling her appointments. Her Instagram went dark. The queen without a court. Sometimes I watch Naomi playing in the garden and think about my grandmother Rosa, about the promise I made at her grave that if I ever had power, I'd use it to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. Melissa tried to break a child. Instead, she built a leader. And here's the thing, this story isn't really about me or even about Melissa. It's about a kid who refused to be erased, a mother who stayed strong, and the moment when somebody with power finally said, "Enough." It's about what happens when the mask slips and the world gets to see who we really are behind the photos and fundraisers. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Melissa truly understood the harm she caused, or was she just upset about being caught? Have you ever seen someone hide cruelty behind charity? What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Drop your thoughts below. Argue with each other. Tell your own stories. Because the only way we change this culture of quiet cruelty is by dragging it into the light and refusing to look away. If this story hit a nerve, subscribe for more real stories about power, justice, and people who refuse to stay in their place. And if you've ever been underestimated, humiliated, or told you didn't belong, remember Naomi, remember Grace. And remember that true power isn't humiliating the vulnerable, it's lifting them up until the whole room has to see their worth.